Hello, everyone. Welcome to Michael's Wrestling Review, and as you can see in the title below, this will be my top 9 list of Mania moments that I have seen live. This isn't going to be all time. It's strictly going to be the WrestleManias that I have personally been to, which are 30, 31, 32, 34, and 35. So with that out of the way, let's get into the list. Number 9 is the greatest entrance in WrestleMania history. I told him this. And it turns out he actually had sex in the thing, apparently, if you believe what he says. Number 9 is when Rusev entered in a fucking tank at WrestleMania 31. In the long line of people that John Cena should have lost to, this is right up there at the top, I think, right below the Nexus. Rusev should have won at WrestleMania 31, and then Cena could have won the following month, which he did anyway. My brother was like, oh, hopefully, this was a fast, quick decision. No, they already had fucking Cena U.S. champion shirts printed, so. But yeah, so Rusev entering on a fucking tank with Russian soldiers around him. Fantastic. I have yet to see a WrestleMania entrance better than that, and I don't think I ever will. Number 8 is, in a career of death-defying antics and jumps and dives and all kinds of crazy shit. Number 8 is when Shane McMahon dove off the Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania 32 in Dallas. It looks like they made this cell bigger than previous, because I've seen 2 Hell in a Cell matches in person. I saw Triple H and Shawn Michaels at Bad Blood 2004 in Columbus, and maybe it was just because it looked bigger because it was in a bigger venue. But you would think in a smaller venue it would look bigger. But the one in Dallas looked to be probably 5-6 feet taller than the one I saw in Columbus. But I'm like, no, there's no way Vince is going to let this fucking happen. Especially not when Shane's, 40-something years old. But it happened. And it looked really fucking rough. They could not pay me to do that in a million years. So, Godspeed to Shane McMahon for being the crazy son of a bitch that he is and doing that dive. Number 7, the night that it happened, I thought it was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. But when I went back and watched it the next day while we were eating lunch, it started to grow on me, and now it's one of my top 9 favorite moments I've ever seen live at WrestleMania was when Braun Strowman and a 9-year-old named Nicholas, who actually happens to be a referee, is it John Cone, I think? Yeah, John Cone's son, beat the bar for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Cesaro and Sheamus' reactions when Braun picked Nicholas make the whole thing, because Cesaro's like, what is going on? But it was a fun segment. Nicholas will remember that for the rest of his life. He won a championship at 9 years old at WrestleMania in front of 75,000 people. It can't get much better than that. And then the next night, Braun says, unfortunately, we have to give up the tag titles, because, Nicholas has prior engagements. I mean, he is in the 4th grade. But it was fun, and Braun's had a few interesting. It's been wonderful to see the progression of Braun Strowman at WrestleManias. 32, he just came to the ring with Bray Wyatt and Eric Rowan. 33, he lost in the pre-show Battle Royal. 34, he won the tag team titles with a 9-year-old. 35, he won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And then at 36, he beats one of the biggest stars in the history of professional wrestling in Goldberg to win the Universal Championship. So quite the eclectic appearance history for Braun Strowman at WrestleMania. Number 6 was the very first thing I ever saw at a WrestleMania. It was at WrestleMania 30. It was the Rock, Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan promo. I know Hulk Hogan's a racist, but there's still something about when that fucking song hits, man. For a split second, you forget he is who he is. And you get taken back to when I was 4 or 5 years old, and I thought he could do no fucking wrong. And still, I think that's the greatest entrance theme in wrestling history. And just to see those 3 guys in the ring at once is something you were never going to see. And then Hogan with the Silverdome comment, which he later harkened back to at WrestleMania 35 in New York. But yeah, that was a neat moment. Number 5 also took place at WrestleMania 30. Daniel Bryan wins the World Heavyweight Championship in the main event. In one night, Daniel Bryan beat 3/4 of Evolution You can have the discussion on if CM Punk doesn't leave, does that ever happen for Daniel Bryan? I'm of the mind it probably doesn't, but it was neat to see the evolution from when Punk left, and then, Daniel Bryan kept growing, the Yes Movement kept growing and growing and growing, till eventually, I don't think Vince wanted to do it, but Vince's hand was forced into putting Daniel Bryan in the main event, because people in New Orleans, after something that happened earlier that night, would have fucking rioted if their main event was Dave Bautista and Randy Orton. They would not have stood for it. They needed to send the fans home happy after, the shocking moment that occurred earlier tonight, which I'll get to later in this list. But, seeing Daniel Bryan, I have a DVD where I saw him and CM Punk wrestle in front of 30 people in Indiana. To see him in that, level was very fun to see. Number 4 was from the most recent WrestleMania I attended, was WrestleMania 35. It was another situation where Vince's hand was forced, putting a guy in a title match he did not want to have in the title match. The storyline that WWE is running between Retribution and the New Day, where Ali says, you took something from me when I was on the shelf injured, so that's why I did to you what I did. That's entirely a true statement when he says, a lot of people don't know this and people don't want to admit to it. That spot was supposed to be Mustafa Ali. And, he got hurt before the Elimination Chamber. Kofi has that amazing performance on that SmackDown, which I was actually at in Toledo, Ohio. In the Gauntlet match, he gets put in the Elimination Chamber, has another amazing performance, and then it just slowly gets to the point where they could no longer avoid putting Kofi in the title match. Kofi gets the belt. He kept it too long. It was an okay reign, and then he lost in 4 seconds to Brock Lesnar. So, actually, fun tidbit. When Brock beat Cena at the SummerSlam in 2014 and it was just an ass-kicking for 15 minutes, that was supposed to be how Daniel Bryan's World Heavyweight title reign ended, but luckily Daniel Bryan was spared that. Number 3 was from, the next 2 are actually from WrestleMania 31. Number 3 was, I got to see Sting's only WrestleMania match. You can debate the optics of whether Sting should have won or lost. The simple fact is, and I've heard Sting say this in interviews, he thought it was going to be his last match, and in his mind, his generation, if it's your last match, you lose. So that's why he lost to Triple H. He gave him a list. It was Undertaker and Triple H. He wasn't going to get the Undertaker, so that's why he was put in the match with Triple H. But it was a good match. I still shake my head at why the NWO helped Sting, considering they were his biggest enemy in WCW, but it was cool to see the NWO and DX together, something you never, ever, ever thought you'd see. I don't think I've ever marked out harder at a WrestleMania than when I heard the NWO music start, because my brother and I are both huge NWO marks, which makes it sad that we're not going to be able to be in Tampa when they get put in the Hall of Fame, but that's neither here nor there. It was a great moment, and I'm glad I got to see Sting's only WrestleMania match. Number 2 was in the main event of WrestleMania 31 is when Seth Rollins cashed in his Money in the Bank contract. Probably the only time you're ever going to see something like that where somebody cashes in the main event of WrestleMania. You may see a cash in at WrestleMania again. You will never see it done in the main event, simply because it was only done in the main event this time because fans were not going to accept Roman Reigns winning the WWE Championship at that time, and Brock Lesnar's deal was up, so Brock wasn't going to stick around. So you had to get the belt on somebody that wasn't Roman Reigns, and it was a good way to launch Rollins' character. I think he had a phenomenal run as the champion. I think he probably, had he not gotten hurt in November of 2015, probably would have kept the belt until WrestleMania in Dallas, and probably he'd have been the one that dropped it to Roman Reigns in the main event. In the match, fans still wouldn't have liked it because Rollins would have got turned babyface in that match, but maybe fans would have been a little kinder just because they like Rollins more than they like Triple H. And then the number 1 thing I have seen live, it's the number 1 wrestling moment I've ever seen, period. It's the number 1 wrestling moment I will ever see, period. And anybody who knows how much I love Brock Lesnar knows what this is going to be. It is at WrestleMania 30 when he defeated The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. It's something that can only be done once. It's something people literally never, ever, ever thought they were going to see. Like, my brother and I, sat there the whole match thinking anytime Brock hit something, oh yeah, F5, he's going to kick out, tombstone, fucking Undertaker wins again, just like always. You can tell early on the Undertaker's not right, and he's admitted to it in interviews that he hurt himself. So anybody that says Brock Lesnar hurt the Undertaker, you're calling the Undertaker a liar if you say that, because he said he hurt himself. I've watched that match probably 24 times since, and I've never been able to see where he got hurt. Maybe it was happened when the camera was off of him. I don't really know, but it's there were 75,000 people in that building. I'm going to turn my fan off real quick. You can hear... Okay, I'm going to stop talking for a second. You can hear how quiet this is. That's how quiet it was in the New Orleans Superdome, or the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, excuse me, that night. Like, you could have heard a fucking pin drop. Because everybody, and I mean everybody, thought it was a fuck-up. Everybody thought the referee had messed up. They thought Undertaker was supposed to kick out. The referee just messed up. Until the 22-1 graphic popped up, that's when I started getting excited. I'm like, holy fucking shit, we just saw the streak end. And, that's, again, something you can never ever see again, because it can only be done once. Anybody that says Brock Lesnar wasn't the right guy to do that, who else was it going to be? Bray Wyatt wasn't going to do it after he lost to John Cena. The fans weren't going to accept if Roman Reigns had been the one to do it. John Cena didn't need to do it. People don't want to admit this. That was done with the guy who did it, Brock Lesnar, because they were then going to try and use Brock to get Roman over as a good guy. It didn't work, because if Triple H can't get you over as a good guy, ain't nobody fucking getting you over as a good guy. Because when Triple H won the belt from Roman at the Royal Rumble, nobody liked Triple H. And he still couldn't get Roman over as a good guy. So in hindsight, it might not have been the best. I would have had Undertaker win that night, and then win in Dallas, and have that have been his final match. But unfortunately, we had to sit through Roman beating him at 33, and then just that fucking abortion of a match he had it with Goldberg, and that horrific tag match him and Kane had against DX. But yeah, to me, that's the number one Mania moment, period, of all time. And it's, of course, the number one Mania moment I've ever seen live. So I've seen so many wonderful things at WrestleMania. There's not much more I can see. That's probably why my brother and I and my friends, if they go with us, are going to limit the cities we go to. Like, we're only going to go to specific cities now for WrestleMania, because how much more else is there you can see? Like, I saw the only cash-in probably in WrestleMania history. I saw Sting's only WrestleMania match. I've seen a 9-year-old win a tag team championship, and I saw the streak end. Like, there's not much more I can see there's not much more I'd be able to see that I haven't seen already. But I just want to thank everybody for watching. I always appreciate it when people watch anything I do. So I appreciate it, guys, and we'll see you next time.